Didn't see you come in. Thank you for joining us on the European Soccer Show. With me today is my esteemed guest, Leo. How are you, Leo?
Hi, Daniel. How are you?
Oh, I'm jolly. I'm very, very happy.
That was a
Um,
performance the actor studio would have dreamed to teach.
well, someday I will tell you the tales when I was on the stage, treading the boards. But until then, we're going to talk about some football slash soccer. This is, of course, the European Soccer Show. And thank you for everybody for joining us again. As you see, Leo has done some gorgeous things with our background, with our socials down there. And also, we've got a running order over there. So on today's agenda, tasty agenda. We've got the Premier League, Liverpool sinking, Arsenal soaring, and all the people in between. Ligue 1, Paris Saint-Germain reclaiming their throne. But for how long? La Liga, of course, was the El Clasico. In Serie A, Lazio's form has repaired. Juve's has not, and there is a significant managerial casualty. In the Bundesliga, Bayern still doing Bayern things, but are they about to become record-breaking Bayern? And at the end, we'll talk about some tops and flops of the week, as well as our favorite stats. So, Leo, where would you like to start? I think, well, since in the running order we've got the Premier League, should we start with the Premier League?
Yeah, I think we can.
All right, then, sit yourselves in and strap on. Here we go. So, in the Premier League, we opened on Friday night with Leeds United winning 2-1 at home to West Ham under the new managerialship of Nuno Espirito Santo. Leeds United defeating them, though. All sorts of trouble for West Ham. Moving on to Saturday, a shock result at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Sunderland 2. Sunderland winning in the last minute through a Talby goal. But more joy for the North East side. Newcastle United 2, Fulham 1. Another last-minute goal, this time for Bruno Guimaraes. Manchester United, are they good? Who the hell knows? But they are in form. Finally, 3 wins on the bounce. Manchester United 4, Brighton 2. Liverpool, another loss. That's 4 in a row in the league, I think. Brentford 3, Liverpool 2. On to Sunday. Not quite as goal heavy, but with some interesting results. Bournemouth moving into second place in the Premier League with a 2-0 victory over Sean Dyche's Nottingham Forest. Arsenal, still boring, but still winning 1-0 at home against Crystal Palace. Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 0. Manchester City lose at Villa Park for the 3rd time in a row, I believe. Down at the bottom, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Burnley 3. The first major 6-pointer of the season, and Burnley come out on top. And the weekend ended with Everton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 3. So some really interesting results and some real shock results. So let's talk at the top of the table. Let's talk about Arsenal. As I mentioned, very boring and another set-piece goal. But they are winning. Is it? We look back over the sort of like the winning teams over the years. It does quite often seem that the most boring team tends to win because boring tends to mean consistent, doesn't it?
Yeah, you mentioned the fact that they didn't shine this weekend. I don't think they did last weekend against Fulham when they just won 1-0 also. But in the title race, I think it's important to be able to win those games without shining, because the big games, they are on the paper the most difficult, but they are also the one you are the most focused on. You always want to win those one. So when you have a minor opposition, you need to be, as a title contender, you need to be able to raise your, I think, mental demands more than your level, and it's important to win this one. And now I think that's without, of course, jumping to conclusions. Things are looking good for Arsenal.
And again, it's the number of clean sheets. It's not just clean sheets;
Yeah,
it's preventing efforts on goal. It's astonishing the level of control. But it is set pieces coming through again. Abirichi Eze got the only goal in this game, of course, scoring against his former side, Crystal Palace. It did seem to be one of the few moments of real quality in the game with that sort of volleyed. It's like a bicycle volley, wasn't it?
yeah,
At
yeah.
some
It
point.
was. I remember some years ago, a Lyon player did the same. I think it was Pjanic in a 5-5 game against Marseille, and it's yeah, I like this kind and this kind of goals, and it permits to it allows Arsenal to have a plus 13 in goal difference now.
Mm.
Is it 3 goals?
Looking
I think we.
I'll be honest, I don't have it in front of me. But looking at some of the quote-unquote title rivals, there have been some real. I mean, Arsenal have been helped by the fact that all of the major sides lost. So Chelsea lost at home to Sunderland. Quick word on that. So probably seeing that Chelsea's, even though they own every single player, it looks like the squad isn't quite as deep as we thought due to their injuries and constant suspensions.
Yeah. The thing is that Chelsea are confirming that they are an inconsistent team in the Premier League right now. You mentioned their loss to Sunderland this weekend. They have won the last two against Forest and Liverpool, of course. Then and before that, they lost to Brighton and Manchester United. They drew against Brentford. So yeah, they are inconsistent, and their ninth place in the Premier League. I think it reflects that, of course, because they are 4 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses. So yeah, if you compare it to Arsenal's record of 7 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss, you can see the difference between them.
But also talk about squad, right? So the fact that Chelsea's, even though they spent £1.5 billion over the last 3.5 seasons, their squad doesn't seem quite well balanced, whereas Arsenal's does. And that speaks volumes because obviously they're both playing European football, and Arsenal are getting significant results in midweek as well. Not that Chelsea aren't, but they seem to be. They have the squad to carry it better. Speaking of which, you said Chelsea were in 9th place. There are only 4 points separating 9th from 2nd. And so you got teams like Chelsea, like Man United, like Manchester City, and so on. So other teams, major teams who have lost at the weekend: Brentford 3, Liverpool 2. Liverpool's problems mounting, despite their victory over Frankfurt in midweek. Another loss. It feels like the wheels are coming off, doesn't it?
Yeah, you mentioned the win over Frankfurt in the Champions League, but I was checking, and we have to remember they also lost to Galatasaray in the Champions League. So it's now 1 win in the last six games. So and more importantly, 5 defeats, 5 losses. So that's difficult. I think Arne Slot, for his part, is in a difficult situation, and to understand better Liverpool's situation at all, they are, for example, in the same form as Nottingham Forest and Fulham over the last 4 games. So yeah, it says a lot about their current form.
The thing is as well that Liverpool's they just seem to have lost. Talk about, again, Arsenal looking like a team in control in matches.
Yeah.
Last season, Slot's team looked completely in control in matches, and now they do not. It's probably, again, all the new additions trying to all gel with each other, the cohesion, playing with new players. But it's chaotic, isn't it?
Yeah, because since the start to the season, we were talking about the fact that they were winning their games during the dying minutes of theirs. We obviously remember for example, the game at St James Park when Ngumua scored the third goal, and now they lose in the dying minutes. They always concede the first goal, then okay, they manage to equalize, and then they lose their way in the final minutes. So I don't know if it's physical, mental, or just a question of level. I don't think it's a question of level, given the squad, but there is something they need to change, and quickly.
Sorry to interrupt, but like the major worry is the defense, right? Because now even Virgil van Dijk is being
Yeah,
caught out, and that just didn't happen last year.
yeah,
He was incredible, and so now it's not just Kanate making these. In fact, Kanate was excellent against Brentford, but yeah, it's now even affecting their best players. We've only got a few minutes left to talk about the Premier League, so we've been talking about the top. Let's talk about the bottom, so the relegation. First of all, a word on all the three promoted sides, because for the second time this season, they all won again. Leeds United winning at home against West Ham United. West Ham are in serious trouble. We said this last week as well, but they look so devoid of ideas and creativity going forward. Leo and I were messaging each other earlier in the week, and you made the point that on paper, West Ham have a decent squad, so it doesn't quite make sense why they're quite so bad. But obviously, this is a squad that's been made up of over different managerialships, right? So some of these players were bought when David Moyes was in charge. Some of them were bought when it was Graham Potter. And now they've got Nuno Espirito Santo. So there doesn't seem to be sort of a clear pathway of these transfers or the transfer strategy. It does seem to be just any kind of player into these, and it doesn't seem to fit.
yeah. You're totally right, and I think we can make draw a parallel between West Ham and Nottingham Forest, having changed their manager, and the squad was adapted to their previous manager, and now there is another, so he had to accommodate with it. So it's difficult, even for the players to learn new tactics, new systems, a new approach of the game. So it's I think it's difficult to be in that situation when everyone has to adapt to new things, and of course we can see that in the results right now. So yeah, I'm
So
quite
we're going to go on to Wolves, but like obviously Wolves are at the bottom of the table, 2 points, no wins. But the difference are that Wolves are creating chances. They are scoring goals. They're pulling out like impressive draws against Brighton. Brighton was a particularly good performance, although again they conceded in like dying minutes. But their performances seem to suggest they're better than the results have been, and we'll get to that with Burnley. Whereas West Ham don't seem to create anything. So again, when I was messaging you, it's something like they had only, before they scored, West Ham, they'd only had 5 shots on target over the course of 2.5 matches. You're never going to win matches that way.
no, it's impossible because as we all know, football is made of goals. If you can't score, you can't win match, and if you can't win match, you can't win points, and then that explains why they are at the bottom of the table so far. It's simple and maybe a little silly, but I think that's just the fact of
I don't think it's silly at all. I think it's comparable with, say, like looking La Liga, right? Celta Vigo up until this weekend had drawn
yeah
7 matches out of their 9 and had got sucked into the relegation zone. So it's like, wow, actually, they only lost 2 matches all season. But again, you need to win matches to pull away. The final word then: Wolves 2, Burnley 3. An excellent start for Burnley. A word on what's his name? Zian Fleming scored his first goal, Premier League goal, which was the most casual volley I think I've ever seen. A ball. Did you see the first goal?
yeah
Ball
I
over the
saw,
top from
yeah
Hartman and sort of like just outside the box, but just again, so like nonchalantly just tapped the ball, volleyed the ball for his first goal. It's brilliant. But yes, 2 goals for Zian Fleming, and 1-0 getting quite tense, quite angry. Wolves responded, pulled goal back from a penalty for Strand Larsen. Munetsi equalised just before half time. 2-2, Wolves banging on the door the entire second half, and then Lyle Foster scores in the 5th minute stoppage time to give Burnley the victory. So it's a strange question, but like again, comparably, even though it's frustrating for the home fans, and even though it's another loss for Wolves, they actually looked quite impressive for the vast
yeah
majority of that match.
yeah as you said, like Foster scored in the very last second of the game, so it was for Wolves the situation. I think it's very different from Forest, from West Ham, because their manager has signed a new contract a few weeks ago, despite the bad results of his team. So it shows that his direction have confidence in him. So I think it's easier to work in that context, to be honest. So maybe the players, it's easier also for the players to work when you know your manager is going to stay, or because when you sign a contract extension, you expect in that context you expect your manager to stay at least for 2, 3, maybe 4 months, to let him the time to put his ideas on the pitch and on his team. So I think it's better for the squad to work in that context.
Yeah, although bad form actually started last season. But anyway, something we should point out though that Wolves have now lost to all three promoted sides already, so not great signs.
Yeah.
Yes, well, we should move on. So yes, Arsenal top of the table. Bournemouth are second on 18 points. Sorry, Arsenal on 22. Bournemouth on 18. Spurs and Sunderland on 17. What a top four that is. Then you got Man City, Man United on 16. And then Liverpool and Aston Villa on 15. And at the bottom, Wolves on 2, West Ham on 4, and Nottingham Forest on 5. And a gap now between them, 3 points and significant goal difference behind Fulham, who are sliding down the table worryingly. But we need to move on. We need to move on. For everybody out there, by the way, Leo has asked me to give him a subtle sign if we need to move on. So watch out for that if we ramble on again. Next up, Ligue 1. Let's take a look at that. So we started on Friday. Paris FC's poor form continues with a home loss against Nantes, 2-1. On Saturday, Brest lost against Paris Saint-Germain. Bit flat from Brest. So yes, 3-0 to Paris Saint-Germain. 2 goals from Hakimi and another from Doué. Monaco returned to winning ways with a 1-0 victory at home to Toulouse. Then the game, possibly the game of the weekend, Lens beat Marseille, the irrepressible Marseille, 2-1 at home. And then on Sunday, Lille, again, refinding form from somewhere, inconsistent indeed, winning 6-1 against Metz, proving that anybody can beat Metz. Angers beat Lorient 2-0. Auxerre lost at home 1-0 to Le Havre. Nice seemed to be a decent side again. They won 2-1 at Rennes. And final match of the weekend, Lyon winning with a last-minute goal from Herrera, winning 2-1 at home to Strasbourg. So let's rewind to Saturday. Quick word on Paris Saint-Germain winning at Brest. It's fairly straightforward, fairly easy, and they're going back to the top of the table.
Yeah, because they lose the top spot last week to Marseille. They were drawing 2 matches in a row because they, if you remember, they drew 3-3 against Strasbourg last week. So PSG wanted to send a message to the other competitors. Last season, they just let them have the top spot of the Ligue 1 during 2 match days. Now it's just 9 match days in the 2025-2026 season, and they let it at 4 occasions. So they want to put their end on it. It was it was not a difficult win
but also to get on what you were saying though, like one of the fun things about this period is that a lot of these teams that we say are running for the title. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 teams all within 4 points of each other at the top. Paris Saint-Germain, Marseille, Lyon, Lille, Monaco, and Strasbourg. But they've all been playing each other in the recent weeks, haven't they? Apart from Monaco, all of them have played at least 2 of these teams in the last month. So it's been terrific just seeing everybody sort of like jumping up. And I suppose the most important thing is these teams have taken points of Paris Saint-Germain, which seems to be the only way to pull them back.
Yeah, because Marseille beat Paris Saint-Germain in the Classic. Strasbourg drew. Lyon will play PSG in 2 weeks now. So and Lens, I think Lens lost 2-0 against Paris Saint-Germain. So yeah, Paris Saint-Germain let points, drop points, and I think it's a good news for the league because It's a league with a lot of financial problem, a lot of internal problems, given the fact that clubs are in deficit. There is not a lot of suspense in the championship, because since the start of the season, you know that PSG have like 99% chances to win, and I do think they will win this season also. But it's a good thing that if the competition can hold until the 30 for the 31th match day, it will be a great news for the for the championship. You can see
He also keeps, from an international perspective, he keeps eyes on the league. It's one of the other
of
things that
course.
it's always been the fifth best of the 5 European leagues. But
Yeah.
as long as but if it's competitive, then it makes it more interesting. And look at Serie A. Like, people have been interested in Serie A again because the last 5 seasons there have been 4 different winners. Right? That's fantastic. And that's exactly what you want. And of course, the hope is that something comes up. Let's talk about Lens Marseille first of all. A big win for Lens, but a surprising result for Marseille considering how good they've been recently.
Yeah, you have to say that Marseille had a terrible week because they lost to Sporting in the Champions League, and especially Benjamin Pavard. He was at fault during that Champions League game. Against Lens, he provoked a penalty. He scored an own goal. And then he posted a story on Instagram to apologize to the fan. So yeah, difficult week for him. Difficult week for Marseille, who could have stayed on top if they had won to Lens. We have to give credit to Lens because they lost some starting players during the summer, and Pierre Sage, who was the Lyon manager last season and 2 seasons ago, when they went from the 18th to the 6th place in the league, is now the Lens manager. He's doing a tremendous work. So great result for Lens, now second in the Ligue, and not a, I will not say undeserved loss to Marseille, because they didn't create a lot of occasion, but it's a fair result if we talk about it.
Well, the big result then happened in the very final match. Lyon 2, Strasbourg 1. Quite an eventful match, of course, and also a terrible match for Decore for Strasbourg. So Pancelli opened the scoring for Strasbourg, giving them the lead, but then Decore scored an own goal to make it 1-1 at half-time. And then with about 25 minutes left, Decore then got sent off for a straight red, I think it was. But they held on into stoppage time before Alfonso Moreira scored the winner. And Lyon took the victory. Important that Lyon got back to winning ways, just to climb back up the table.
Yeah, important. But the thing is that you've talked about the Doucouré's terrible night, because he was on the first goal, then he was sent off, and he gets Malik Fofana injured for several months because of his tackle. So that's a sad news. Here, newspapers are talking about 3 or 4 months long absence for the Belgian. So it's a really tough coup for Lyon, because their squad is already limited. And losing one of your best assets is obviously a terrible news. So now they will have to deal with this event. But it was important for them to win this game, because now they are 4th in the league. They will play tomorrow at Paris FC, and on Sunday at Brest, before hosting PSG. So it will be important for them to take points before the international break, and winning to that Strasbourg side is a good result.
Okay, that's our warning for the time. The other guy on my desk.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, if you just hear me off camera, like. Oh, guys, yes. So that's the I was going to say klaxon. No, that's the warning. But as we mentioned, Lille winning 6-1 against Metz. So Lille finding form again, although again it is Metz. And again, but important to reference that Nice, after their chaotic start to the season, seem to have found a bit of form because again they were sort of unpredictable at the start. So yes, Ligue and Paris Saint-Germain top on 20 points, Lens on 19. Marseille on 18 with Lyon, Lille on 17 with Monaco, and Strasbourg on 16. Metz, 2 points, 2 points, and 7 points from safety already. So a
Yeah.
long way
C'est
behind.
dur. That's difficult.
Right, let's move on to La Liga and El Clasico. Okay, so Friday saw, oh my God, Real Sociedad won to relieve some of the pressure building on them. 2 goals from Oyarzabal. On Saturday, an incredible match between Girona and Oviedo. The 2 teams at the bottom played out a 3-3 draw. Oviedo scoring in the 7th minute of stoppage time to claw a point from there. Espanyol climbed into the top 4 briefly with a 1-0 victory over Elche. Athletic Club lost at home to Getafe 1-0. Valencia lost at home 2-0 to Villarreal. Villarreal still going strong, still in the Champions League places. On Sunday, Mallorca and Levante played out a 1-1 draw. Osasuna lost at home to Celta Vigo. Celta Vigo finally won a match.
Finally,
3-2. Another late goal there for them. Pablo Duran scored in the 87th minute. Rayo Vallecano's got an impressive victory against Alaves. Another goal in stoppage time from El Amal. And on Monday night, Atletico won at Betis 2-0. But on Sunday, Real Madrid 2, Barcelona 1. This was a really impressive victory for Real Madrid, wasn't it? And an incredible attacking performance.
Yeah, impressive, and I think more of that deserved victory for Real Madrid. They played with the intensity such a game required. But however, I didn't think the match, and particularly the second half, was an exceptional standard. I don't know what you think.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
But there were these moments of quality.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
so for those who didn't see, so Mbappe opened the scoring. He also had 2 goals disallowed, sorry, for offside. The first one was a real shame, but it was also quite lazy on his part as well. But the first goal was a beautiful turn by Jude Bellingham, sort of surrounded by 2 or 3 players, turned away from them and played an incisive pass to Mbappe, who scored. And then about 7 minutes before half-time, Fermin Lopez equalised for Barcelona after being set up by Marcus Rashford. And then just before half-time, Jude Bellingham tapped in from about 2-3 yards out after, was it Militao? Headed across goal, just like a looping cross from Vinicius Jr., headed back across goal, Bellingham tapped in. And Madrid could have extended the lead. Mbappe missed a penalty. He had a very strange game, actually, Mbappe. He does miss a lot of penalties. But Real Madrid didn't really look like they were going to lose the lead. And then chaos at the end because Pedri was sent off for a second yellow card, deservedly so. It wasn't intentional. And you can see that strange thing was the players on the pitch didn't seem to react, but the staff and the substitutes did, which led to substitute goalkeeper for Real Madrid, Lunin, getting shown a straight red card and the police getting involved. It was chaos. But it was interesting to see that was in the dugout rather than on the pitch. The on pitch, there seemed to be a lot more respect for the situation. Do you think that speaks volumes about the situation, the fact that there's more tension off the field for these teams rather than on it?
I think it's important to have this this heated confrontation between those 2 teams because there were some hype before the game for this Clasico. Even if Barcelona were disappointing at the end, it was really cool to see. I like this tense atmosphere. So yeah, I think sometimes it's unnecessary. We saw Vinicius very tense during the game, even when he was substituted by Xabi Alonso. I think he likes that kind of atmosphere too. You just a word because you mentioned Mbappe. he has now scored in 9 of the 10 first La Liga games. So impressive. If we exclude the Club World Cup, he has only failed to score twice this season. So it shows how in form he is at the moment. He also scored for France. The one of the 2 goals disallowed to him was exceptional. I think it was the second. And yeah, Barcelona players were disappointing, notably Yamal and Pedri, of course, but we can think about Ferran Torres, who was like a ghost. Koundé struggled against Vinicius. So yeah, Madrid played the Clásico while Barcelona just played a game, a La Liga game.
Yeah. Well, I think things are catching up to Barcelona because, of course, they've got quite a small squad, and it does seem that they're now. In recent weeks, they've been struggling.
Yeah.
Although they have still been eking out these victories, but of course, when they've played Paris Saint-Germain, despite the fact that Paris Saint-Germain were riddled with injuries, Paris Saint-Germain found the victory. They played Real Madrid. Real Madrid found the victory despite not controlling the game. But also Barcelona is just looking a bit toothless. Yeah, so the thing is, so okay, look at the top of the table. Real Madrid are on 27 points, Barcelona on 22, a 5-point gap that gives Real Madrid, which is significant. But then below them, you got Villarreal on 20, Atletico Madrid on 19, Espanyol on 18. That's a really fun story there. Does it feel like Barcelona, their level has dropped from last year? Or is it Real Madrid finding, I'm trying to think of a better word than bettering. Have Real Madrid improved from last season, or is it Barcelona have dropped?
No, I think it's Barcelona dropped, especially since we must say that when you don't have in your squad, for example, Rafinha, who scored and assisted like 60 on 60 occasions last season, it was exceptional. So of course it's a big miss, but I don't think the problem is the level of play. But it seems like they have physical issues. I don't know what you think about that, but they seem tired.
But again,
quickly
this
in
goes
the
back
games.
to me. This goes back to me saying about the small squad, because obviously Hansi Flick
Yeah.
plays a very high intensity pressing up the pitch, very high defensive line. There is physicality involved. However, in this intense period of midweek European matches and the weekend, like you need to rotate, and if you don't have the rotation options, then people are going to get tired.
Yeah.
So logically, you would say that would probably mean they would have to alter their system, or you don't necessarily have to do that if you are easily one of the best teams in the league. But then when you come across other good teams,
Yeah.
you feel like you should probably have to alter it slightly. We need to move on slightly because the real fun of this league is at the bottom. So I'm going to give you a list of teams. So in last place, you've got, here's the list of teams. So Osasuna, Celta Vigo, Levante, Mallorca, Real Sociedad, Valencia, Oviedo, and Girona. All of those teams are separated by 3 points. That's the bottom of the table. It's astonishing, isn't it? So now what you got is this really interesting part of La Liga where the top 5 or 6 are all sort of battling out for, the top 1 or 2. But then you've got like a good chunk of 4 teams battling for Europe. And then you've only got like 2 or 3 teams in the midsection. And then you've got this enormous number getting sucked into a relegation battles, potentially. But as we said before, we're going to have a quick word on Celta Vigo, who finally got the victory. It feels almost deserved, doesn't it? Because if you draw 7 matches and only lose 2, you're doing something right, aren't you?
Yeah, and it was kind of symbolic for Celta, because with local legend Iago Aspas scoring a brace. Even at Osasuna, Ante Budimir, I don't know if he is considered as a local legend, but he's a name at Osasuna. He also scored a brace. He could have scored a hat trick if he didn't miss the penalty. But yeah, as you mentioned, when you draw 7 games and finally win one without losing, because if you draw games, you don't win them, but you don't lose them too. So it's, I don't know if it's a good or bad result to draw, but now it's surely a good result for Celta, and yeah, it's deserved.
Mm. Yeah, but also like you feel like it's reward for their decent. You feel like it's now a decent start to the season. You know, like 2
Yeah,
losses,
of
one
course.
like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We need to move on to Serie A because lots to talk about Serie A. Yes, we're going over to Italia. On Friday, AC Milan, the leaders, AC Milan, stumbled at home to Pisa. In fact, they had to score a last-minute equaliser or a stoppage time equaliser through Adekame for a 2-2 draw at home to Pisa. On Saturday, Parma 0, Como 0. Como yet again following up a fantastic performance with an underwhelming one. Udinese won 3-2 at home to Lecce. The big match of the weekend, Napoli winning 3-1 at home to Inter. Fantastic performance there. We will get onto that. Jamie Vardy scored his first goal for Cremonese with a 1-1 draw against undefeated Atalanta. Undefeated, but underwhelming. They are still 7th in the table, I think. On Sunday, Torino have returned to form. They're pulling further away from relegation. Torino winning 2-1 at home to Genoa. Verona drew 2-2 with Cagliari. Cagliari scoring a valuable stoppage time equaliser to snatch a point. Sassuolo lost at home to Roma, 1-0 to Roma. Another 1-0 victory for Roma.
Yeah.
Fiorentina played out a 2-2 draw with Bologna, but it was a hell of a comeback for the relegation-threatened Fiorentina, losing 2-0 with only 20 minutes to go before a Bologna player, Holm, got sent off for a second yellow. Then you had a penalty for Goodmanson, and then a penalty for Moise Kean in the 4th minute of stoppage time, snatching a draw. And the final match of the weekend, Lazio, another victory for Lazio, 1-0 against Juventus. And we're going to start there because for Juventus, after a really good start to the season where they were undefeated for so long, that's now 8 matches winless for them. That's 5 of them in the league, in which they've now lost 2 of them. So that's 3 points, 5 matches, and Igor Tudor has been sacked as manager as Juventus. This seemed quite predictable, that him losing his job, didn't it? Just Juventus's slow slide down the table. It also coincided with that strange period of when they sort of drew, 4-4 against Dortmund, and where they beat Inter 4-3.
Yeah.
These
In the
chaotic
sub-
games, and then after that, they've not won any of them.
No.
So there have been warning signs for this for quite a while, haven't there?
Yeah, and I think that this past weeks were the good occasion to judge the real level of Juventus, because you mentioned their games against Inter and Dortmund. Then they played against Atalanta. They played in the Champions League against Real Madrid and Villarreal. In Serie A against Como, AC Milan. So they had tough games these past weeks, and the results they are,
Well,
yeah,
the
the
fact
same.
they didn't win any of them suggests that they're not actually better than any of them either.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so I suppose the real damaging one is Como can pull off a performance, but also if you can't beat Atalanta, if you can't beat Como, if you can't beat Villarreal, that's not the level that Juventus want to be at.
No, and there are individualities that are deceiving. We can talk about, for example, Jonathan David, who joined from Lille this summer. He hasn't scored a single goal this season. He has been at fault against Lazio this weekend. So yeah, I think it's a collective, as much as a collective and individual fault for Juventus, and now they are 8th in the table, 6 points from Napoli, which is who are first. So they will need to win games.
Let's go over to Napoli Inter. This was a fantastic performance from Napoli. Again, it seemed like last weekend was a real sort of shock result because things seem to have been going so well for them this season. So yes, a penalty for De Bruyne, giving them a lead at half-time, 1-0. McTominay, another goal from McGoals himself, 2-0. Çalhanoğlu pulled one back from the penalty spot for the Inter, but then Anguissa gave Napoli a third goal with about 20 odd minutes to go. This was quite a commanding performance from Napoli, wasn't it? It's quite a statement win.
Yeah, this is the kind of game you can use to send a message to the opposition. I think it was a champion-winning performance, as you said. You mentioned McTominay and Zambo Anguissa's goal, exceptional. Especially, I think the McTominay's a clear volley, sensational. The only dark point is that they lost Kevin De Bruyne to injury, who will be out according to reports for between 3 and 5 months following surgery. So it's a big bad news for Napoli. Even if I think that the squad is even better than it was last year because of their good transfer window last summer. So now they are top of the league.
But also with players like De Bruyne getting injury, part of the reason they invested so heavily this summer was to get the squad that could deal with that kind of loss. Because before they didn't have the relevant support for like Lobotka and Anguissa. But now they do. And I suppose, it gives someone else the chance to sort of step up. It is a shame that it's such a long time. I think when you were signing De Bruyne, you accept that there are going to be sort of like these pockets of weeks where he's unavailable, but that's a significant chunk, sadly.
But the only thing is that I just think about Belgium supporters because in the same weekend they have lost Kevin De Bruyne and Malik Fofana to injuries. So with the World Cup coming in now 6-7 months, it's bad news.
The other game we should really look at before we move on, though, I mean, let's have a quick word on a couple. So AC Milan dropped the warning. AC Milan lost the chance. I mean, they were top of the league and a 2-2 draw against Pisa. And to be clear, Pisa really could have won this. It was a stoppage time equaliser. AC Milan were awful.
It reminds me a little of their match against Cremonese at the very start of the season when they lost to Cremonese. But let's be clear, that doesn't detract from their good start of the season. But they will have to perform against this kind of team if they want to compete for the title.
Well, I suppose the reason I'm bringing it up is because, again, we say this every time. AC Milan have no European football for the first time.
That's what
ever.
I was.
There is no excuse for not being prepared.
Of course. With one game and just Coppa Italia, you have to win these games. Absolutely.
Word on. We as mentioned, Jamie Vardy scored his first goal for Cremonese, but Atalanta are still undefeated. But it's another draw.
Yeah, and they have the I don't know. It's a strange team because I think they have the squad to win. They need to win those games against Cremonese also, because we talked about Milan, but Atalanta must win these games.
We should probably point out that part of over the Gasperini years, part of the joy of Atalanta is that they have been in European competition of some kind for the vast majority of it. That's one of the reasons why they've been able to invest so heavily in their youth system, in their recruitment, and so on and so on. No one's expecting them to win the league.
No.
But what these draws are allowing, so like if I say the table, what these draws are allowing is for a big old, let's call them the middle classes of Italian football, to try and to basically nudge into their territory. So Napoli are on the top of the Serie A with 18 points, with Roma in second. AC Milan are now third with 17. Inter have 15. But then this is the next four. So Bologna, Como, Atalanta, Juventus. 14, 13, 12, 12. So Atalanta, if only a couple of those draws had been turned to victory, they would be in the Champions League places. So we are talking fine margins, but also because they haven't actually registered that many victories, this is allowing Bologna and Como the opportunity to get in on their territory. And that's what Como are trying to be, right? They're trying to be the new Atalanta.
Yeah. And which is strange with Atalanta is that they score goals because they have now scored 12 since in 8 games. So it's not a big deal. They don't. It's not like Inter, for example, with 19 goals scored, but they have the ability and the players, I think, to score goals. So it's strange. Their situation is strange. And you mentioned Como. Como are having a great start to the season, as well as Bologna, because we never talk about Bologna. They are quite like a submarine, and they are now fifth in the league with 14 points, only 2 defeats. So great start to the season too.
Well, speaking of we have to move on. But a quick word with Bologna. Bologna actually should have been fourth. Well, should have been, but a brilliant comeback for Fiorentina. Credit where credit's due. So obviously, backs against the wall, relegation zone, only 3 points on the board, losing 2-0 at home to a decent Bologna side. But managing to, it was 2 penalties that got back into it, and Bologna had a man sent off with just under 10 minutes to go. But Fiorentina did pull it back. So credit where credit's due for Fiorentina. So no matter what's happening there, they clearly have the fight and determination to keep going. Okay, so let's move on to the Bundesliga, the final stop on our little test journey, the European Soccer Show journey. For some reason, put it at the top. So on Friday, a win for Werder Bremen, 1-0 at home to Union Berlin. The first match on Saturday saw RB Leipzig winning 6-0 at Augsburg. Their great form continues. Hold the presses, stop the presses. Eintracht Frankfurt have a clean sheet. They won 2-0 at home to St. Pauli. Their first clean sheet that wasn't against a third division team this season. Hamburg lost 1-0 at home to Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg needing that victory just to give them some gap between them and the relegation zone. Hoffenheim beating Heidenheim 3-1. Borussia Mönchengladbach actually gave a decent performance against Bayern. We'll get onto that, but they did end up losing 3-0 at home. Borussia Dortmund won a last-minute, 6th minute of stoppage time winner for Bayer. The irony of that. But Dortmund winning 1-0 at home to Köln. And then on Sunday, Bayer Leverkusen winning 2-0 at home to Freiburg. And Stuttgart winning 2-1 at home to Mainz. Obviously, we're going to stop immediately with Bayern. And Harry Kane did not score or assist a goal. Is he past it? Is he too old? No, that's stupid. Moving on. But that is genuinely the first game this season he hasn't scored or assisted in. So, first of all, credit where credit's due for Borussia Mönchengladbach, who it was 0-0 at half time, and they did have a man sent off in the 19th minute. But it was inevitable, wasn't it? But the big news was the third goal scorer, Lemmet Karl. Do you want to talk about him?
Yeah, he was my personal pick for the tops and flop. He is my top. In the space of a week, he became the youngest goal scorer in Bayern's history in the Champions League, and then against Gladbach became their third youngest in the Bundesliga. So he's still and he's only 17. And the thing to know about him is once he comes of age, so at 18, his contract will automatically be extended until 2029. So Bayern want to secure him, and I think they're right because each time we see him on the pitch, he's quite interesting to say the least.
So goals in this game from, like I say, second half goals from Kimmich, Guerrero and Karl. That is now 13 wins on the bounce for Bayern Munich, which is a joint record. Do you know who holds the record currently?
Bayern?
Well, that's one of them, but do you know who else holds it?
No, I don't.
So it is the legendary AC Milan side from 92-93. Are the only other side in the top 5 European leagues to win 13 of their first matches in a row. So one more victory for Bayern and they break the record. which would be astounding, really, but also speaks on about how good they've been this year. A word on Leipzig. So Leipzig scoring 6 goals at Augsburg, but the most fun part of that was it was 6 different goal scorers. Leipzig showing that they are an attacking force, and actually, not that they're back as such, but it looks like they're forgetting last season. It seems like they are moving on from last season, doesn't it?
Yeah, we can draw, I think, some parallels with AC Milan because they don't have any European football to play this season.
And they had to sell significant players as well because of that.
Yeah, for example, Benjamin Sesko to Manchester United, or
Luis Openda,
Openda, and Xavi Simons to Tottenham, just to name a few. But they recruited young players, Yan Diomande. They also recruited Joan Bakayoko from PSV. So, and the system looks to be quite okay this season. As you mentioned, they scored 6 this weekend. They just lost 1 game so far this season. So it will be interesting to see the how they will manage to play against all the biggest team, because if we remember, they lost 6-0 to Bayern on the first match day. So they will.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really good point. It'd be really interesting to see when they play Bayern next time. First of all, it'll be because when they faced Bayern, they hadn't made all these signings and they hadn't all gelled and all of these things. So it would be interesting to see them face each other.
Because the only big team they faced, it was Dortmund, and they drew against them. So
yeah, it was the perfect draw, identical stats. Bayern, of course, the top of the table, 24 out of 24 points. Next are RB Leipzig on 19, Stuttgart on 18, Dortmund on 17. Again, a 6th minute of stoppage times. Dortmund squeaked that against Köln. But Dortmund are level with Bayer Leverkusen on 17. So you've got Bayern 5 points at the top, and then Leipzig, Stuttgart, Dortmund, and Leverkusen separated by just 2 points. And then there's a big 4-point gap between them and Frankfurt. So it does look like the top, there is now the European group pulling away, the ones fighting for the Champions League. And at the bottom of the table, still Borussia Mönchengladbach on 3 points. And they are now 4 points away from safety. Behind Heidenheim and Mainz. Right, so you say, we're trying now Tess's tops and flops. So the European Soccer Show's tops and flops of the week. So you said your tops of the week was the young Lemmet Karl.
Yeah, and my flop is about Habib Bey's Stade Rennais, so in Ligue 1. We still haven't managed to win this weekend against Nice. They are now 10th in the league. Have only won 2 games in 9 matches. It's a club. You have to know that it's a club with a lot of financial resources. They are owned by François Pinault, so they have money, to say the least. He invests early, but they disappoint season after season. Now Habib Bey is set to be fired. The second manager after Adi Hutter, Monaco's Adi Hutter, and I think Stéphane Le Mignon will be the next. So yeah, my flop is about Rennes, because we already have, I will not say high expectations, but they always recruit interesting players. They put some money. They have a good stadium. They have great fans, but they never managed to be as good as we think. So yeah, they are my flop. And what about yours?
Oh, I don't know. I've actually not had time to think about tops and flops. Although I will say in the Premier League, perhaps the thing is, we've got flops, which is like West Ham United and Wolves, who are like West Ham are the big flops, really, the ones that sort of like just like kind of miserable week in, week out. But I would say keep an eye on Fulham, because I did say they're sort of like slowly falling down the table. Marco Silva's in his last year of his contract. They had to wait to the last day of the transfer window to sign, to make it a significant signing. It seems like that's gone quite stale. So just watch that space. But Tots, I'm going to go for just the promoted teams is great, but I'm going to say Sunderland. Oh, am I? Sunderland are 4th in the Premier League. They've got 17 points already, which is astonishing. But Bournemouth are 2nd. Bournemouth are 2nd in the table. There is reason to think. I mean, considering how many players they lost over the summer, and again, Iraola's into his final year of the contract. That's just remarkable, really. But yes, I'll give it more thought next week. But before we go, your stat of the week, End. What's your stat?
Yeah, mine is about once again Liga, about Metz, because with 26 goals conceded since the start to the season, they are the worst defense in Europe's top 5 leagues, ahead of Girona and Lorient, who have conceded 22 and 21 goals respectively. And I have a question for you. They have 2 points, only 2 points. So it's my time to do a quiz.
Okay.
They have 2 points. Do you know what team in the European top 5 league have 2 points?
Oh, okay. Well, I know Wolves only have 2 points.
And that's the good the good answer. You are better than me at this.
The thing is, that's a bit unfair. I mean, because I do have all of my notes.
Okay.
I've been looking at these all this episodes. Therefore, it's in my head. And I did say earlier. But here's one for you. Ha 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 ha! I've got one as well. So I have noticed that in Ligue 1 and La Liga, especially, there have been an astonishing number of red cards. By this point of the season, like both straight reds and second yellows. Here's my question to you. Which team has received the most red cards this season?
In Europe?
In all the top 5 leagues, which team? I'll give you a clue. It's in La Liga.
Let me check at my notes. No, I don't. I don't have any idea.
I'll give you another clue. It's a Liga side in the relegation zone.
There are 7 teams in the relegation zone.
Yeah, there are 3. There are 3. They're currently in the relegation zone.
Real Oviedo?
No, it's Girona. Girona have received 5 red cards in 10 games, matches.
No? Yeah, that's a good.
Isn't that astonishing? Although, you know what? Now think about it. I wonder if that counts for Chelsea as well, because obviously Chelsea received it in European competition and managerial. So I wonder if Chelsea would be close to that, if you include staff members as well. Yeah,
because Chelsea, I don't know, there are four red carded since the start.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think actually they might be close, but this is just in the league for Girona. So it's 5 in 10 matches, whereas Chelsea are in Europe. So I think that might be Europe as well. But yes. So there you go. So that's how we're going to end that particular episode with that thought. Right. Thank you so much, everybody watching. And thank you so much, Leo, first of all, for joining, but also for making this beautiful studio that we're currently in. So now you can all see what our socials look like all the time. So follow them all the time. Constant content. Yes, so do follow those. Make sure you subscribe, etc., etc. Thank you so much, Leo, for joining us this episode.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Wish you a good day. See you. Well, I don't know, because there are games midweek this week.
There are a lot of midweek games. We'll try. We'll see if we can organise something later this week.
Okay.
I have a free week this week. Anywho, goodbye, everybody. We'll see you another time.
Goodbye.